4, the time is 7 o'clock p.m. The meeting in the City of Greensburg Redevelopment Commission is called to order. At this time, please silence all of your electronic devices. If everybody will stand, we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. David White.
Present.
Karen Burkhart.
Here.
Ken Dornan. Present. Mark Lowe.
Here.
Darrell Poland. Here. Mark Bowden.
Here. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is to approve minutes of our Monday, July 8th regular meeting. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read and review the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are not any corrections to the minutes, they stand approved as presented. Next item is old business. Mr. Zach Weary, Director of Public Projects, has some updates for us.
Good evening, members.
Good evening.
Update on the Ironman apartment complex. We are still in talks with them. Everything is moving along. We're working through our economic development agreement to be sent over for their comments. They have updated a revised plan for a 4-story complex. And kind of added some architectural features that they're planning to include on that. I will put a copy on Dropbox, but I can send out a copy to you all via email for that plan sheet. Again, it's just a rough idea of what their comments are. They are encouraging any architectural design ideas to be shared, so if you see anything on there that you would like to see changed.
4-story plan, how many units will that be?
82.
82.
I'll throw out right now. It's just a little over 100 beds.
Will it match the current skyline, I guess, so to speak?
Without actually measuring a building, yes. Old 3-story building is roughly the same height as a new 4-story building. So now new ceilings are a lot shorter than 12-foot ceilings in old buildings, so it won't overtop any of our current that kind of buildings.
Did they give you a time when they got all that their stuff?
Their current schedule is completing the design in February 2025, and then
Yeah, all the documentation is done. It turns out I need a sales disclosure form, which I've prepared on the city side, and the county attorney is taking to the commissioners. So it's the last documentation we need to do that recording. So the transaction itself has been done, so the property is yours. It's just needs to be officially recorded.
Any other questions?
And I would say, so Zach has taken kind of a first pass through on the EDA agreement, and included the things that the city wants to see. He has forwarded that to me. I know Veritas Group is also looking at it, so I'm in the process of reviewing that EDA agreement and making sure that it includes all of the terms and conditions that I think are necessary and appropriate for that type of agreement. And then I would anticipate getting that over to Iron Man and let them tweak it. So that is in my inbox as we speak, so.
Any other comments? How about telling us about Liberty Lakes?
If you've been past the area, you probably noticed that there's quite a bit of movement, work happening out there. I think they've got 2 or 3 sites prepped almost, 4 houses. And I know Beacon's ready to go as soon as they can get the green light to start building the house. So they're moving along as promised. We're working on setting up a groundbreaking of sorts ceremony. They've already broken ground for the large scheme of it, but maybe something to do with the individual house or slab pour of the house. Looking probably end of September for that. So by the next meeting, plan is to have a firm date, a firm plan for everyone who wants to attend. We were looking during the week, maybe around 10 o'clock, or if we need to move it later, we can.
Give me enough notice I can work it in my schedule. I'll work from home that day.
Any questions about Liberty Lakes? All right, thank you. Let's move on to new business. Property marketing program.
So you will see that you have a current offer for 171 West Veterans Way, which is your 12-acre parcel off Veterans Way. This is actually the second offer from this buyer. The first one, the committee reviewed and rejected, and the buyer chose to submit a second offer for full asking price.
Does it fit within our scope?
There is no current plans for the land by the buyer. So it's purchased as investment properties, temporary agricultural use.
So did committee review the second offer?
We haven't reviewed it in depth, we're aware of what it was. Because it's tentatively no plan, you know, when we look at the first offer, we've got a substantial investment in this property, and we're looking for something that's gonna be a long-term benefit to the RDC. We want probably a fairly heavy density of capital investment. It didn't seem to meet that requirement, so therefore we rejected that offer. The second offer is probably less definitive than the first. And again, once we transfer, we don't have any control of what happens to it after that point in time. And I think that's one of the major concerns we have as a commission, is we want to make sure we get something that is appropriate for what we're looking for in the area.
Well, I would also say that simply selling a piece of property for, you know, investment without knowing necessarily what's gonna be in there, what's gonna go in there, when that investment's going to be, is somewhat inconsistent with the idea behind the Economic Development
Mhm.
Commission. So the idea behind the statutory scheme that created you is that you are enhancing the properties that you are working on, the properties that are in your EDC, so that you can, one, recoup your costs through tax income and financing, but also so that you can, you know, enhance the area and know what's going in there. I would be somewhat reticent to recommend, you know, just a pure blanket, you know, we have this piece of dirt and we're selling to you, you know, as is, no plan, we don't know what's going in here, because it's somewhat more difficult for you than to justify to anyone that may be, you know, scrutinizing what you're doing as a board, that you are in fact trying to develop consistent with that statutory scheme. It's just something, again, ultimately you make the decision and there's a process to do it. I'm just, as your legal counsel, I'm kind of throwing that out there so that you are cognizant of it.
Legally, can we request that within the offer that we get a plan? Or is that,
I think that's
it's great.
it's great. I was gonna say, I would have to look at it more closely, because generally speaking, I know that you can put contingencies upon, you know, a sale. I think you can put, so you could certainly put things that would run with the property that says you couldn't do X, Y, and Z. You know, additionally, you would have certain ordinances, you know, I mean, if this person came in and said, hey, I wanna build a strip club, well, we're gonna allow those, you know what I mean? So I think there is some wiggle room on it, but I don't wanna give you a definitive answer that says you can or can't, because I think what you would be able to do in that regard is very limited.
We can't control that through zoning.
Well, you could to a certain extent, sure. I mean, you can certainly say that the zoning has to be, you know, something, but then you're gonna have a zoning variance request if somebody wants something different. You know, I mean, and again, it would depend on like what it is, you know, I mean, if in this instance, you don't have anything, so you don't really know what the plan is, but if you were to look at something, you know, hey, I wanna put a solar farm on there, then yeah, you're gonna look at zoning and see what that would look like more than not you can approve. And I would think that the new UDO would have some impact on that as well, so. But that may be a better question for our broker, to say, hey, what, you know, we don't wanna lead anybody on, we wanna be as transparent as we can be, but realistically, you know, anybody that's purchasing it has to recognize they're buying it from the redevelopment commission, so we have, you know, things that we have to see come out of it.
It's just something we suggest that he disclose to any potential.
Yeah, yes, and I certainly think if he has not yet done that, that would be something that I would wanna see is on any sort of disclosure, and identifying comment that this is an RDC property.
Any other questions or discussion or comments?
Do you need an action on that, Zach?
Well, yes, I would prefer if we voted yea or nay, or
Is there
no action would be an action, I believe.
Is there a motion to accept this offer?
I would say it's rejected for lack of a motion to accept.
The offer is rejected. You do have a motion to accept.
Get that return back. As far as the other properties, there has not been much movement on those. I've gotten a few questions from our past buyer for the 4G this facility, but we haven't seen any plans or anything like that on those, so just to keep you up to date. I think, in the next couple of months, we'll be renewing our contract with Brett, so keep that in mind if you wanna renew or not renew. Your choice in the next few months.
6 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about anything about the AIM Redevelopment Association?
So AIM is an organization for municipalities, accelerating Indiana municipalities. And they reached out, Kristen, the mayor, Amy, I belong to a couple of their groups. They have a lot of subgroups for their whole organization. One of them, which is a redevelopment commission group, which is people like yourselves or city officials that have chosen to become a member of that group. And it's just a way of communicating between different cities and municipalities to share information, ask questions. A lot of the questions will be ordinance related for one of the other groups, and just try to help each other out by making our lives a little bit easier on a day-to-day work basis. So some of this property sale question could be, questions like that could get asked through those groups and see what other people have done, and maybe even actually bring development through that group of, hey, we've got this property, has anybody else done something similar in their city or town? And know a developer that would be interested in Greensburg, so. Their membership for your first year is $25, which encompasses everybody on the commission, or I think I could add anybody to that list. There's no restriction on the amount of people that are included under that membership, so $25 for the first year, $125 for the subsequent years, so.
Sounds like a good idea.
And there's no contract on it as far as the number of years we have to stay on.
Nope.
I think it's good.
And I would say to any that are familiar with AIM, they are a very top-notch organization. I've gone to them several times for legal questions, and they have very good resources available.
Just give us more exposure, tends to more exposure.
Is there a motion to approve this that we join?
So we'll
Thank you, Ken. Is there a second? Thank you, Darren. We have a motion made and seconded to join this group. Any other discussion?
I had a question, Dr. Weigel, on the RDC property marketing program, I mean, are we currently pursuing the covenants or development of a list of things that we would accept or not accept in terms of property development?
I don't think we have any specific list of what we want, what we don't want, but
I guess the question is, do we need to put something together? So when another buyer approaches, there's some disclosure there.
That would make Brent's job easier too.
I assume we could put together a list of things that would be, type of development that would be acceptable.
Then it'd be a difficult job.
Yeah.
could our committee come up with that?
I don't see a reason why we can't. I think we missed a vote, didn't we?
I was just saying, you have a motion and
Okay.
a second on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's okay.
Going back to that motion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Good question.
And then back to this question, wouldn't it be too hard for the committee to come up with a list of things?
Yeah, we'll try to have something draft for the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else for us, Zach?
I have nothing else for you all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is just approval of claims. We have about 5 claims, it looks like, totaling $3,675.67. Is there a motion to pay our claims?
I move we pay our claims.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Darrell. Any discussion? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That takes us to the end of our agenda. Are there any other comments from board members? Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be Thursday, September 5th, 2024, right here at 7 o'clock p.m. If nothing else, we'll adjourn our meeting. Thank you all for coming.